Welcome back to Radio Entrepreneurs. I'm Jonathan Freedman, joined this morning by my co-host, Evan Macedo, VP of Finance and Operations at Sapers and Wallack. Always good to see you, Evan.
Always good to see you, Jonathan, and it's a pleasure to be here as always.
Excellent. Do you want to introduce our next guest?
Absolutely, Jonathan. We have our next guest, Ed Burnham, over here. He's the Senior Product Advisor from Heartland. Welcome, Ed.
Hi, Evan. How you doing? Thanks for having me on.
Yeah.
Great to have you on. Why don't we start by you telling us a little bit about what Heartland does?
Sure. So Heartland is a U.S.-based company. It's actually a U.S.-based arm of Global Payments, which is an international Fortune 1000 company. Heartland really has two main buckets of business solutions. And what I specialize in is in one of those buckets, which is our human capital management platform. So this includes anywhere from pre-screening employees all the way through hiring and firing employees and everything in between. So the technology is HR, payroll, applicant tracking, tax credit technology, and things of that nature. We have about 50,000 clients here in the U.S. On the payroll side of the house and thousands throughout New England, and we're continually growing our practice out here in the New England area. The second main bucket is our payment processing business, which a lot of folks, if you are familiar with Heartland, probably know us for that side of the house. It's both brick and mortar from merchant services perspective, so in-person restaurants, retail, and things of that nature, but also we do e-commerce solutions as well. So really, the human capital management side and also payment processing.
Interesting. You touched on something that I find fascinating. I'm just wondering, in the era of a pandemic, if that employee pre-screening, if you guys have seen a huge uptick in that, as employers aren't seeing people face to face very often. Has that seen a big growth through the pandemic?
Yeah, that's a great question, Jonathan. And what we've really seen is a lot more use out of our electronic onboarding technology, both from the pre-screening perspective, but also when you actually find an employee and are looking to hire them. So our technology really streamlines that process, allows you to customize a packet to be able to go ahead and send it electronically to your new employee. It'll give you a checklist, what you've received, what you haven't received, as well as anything that you need to do, like also sign the I-9 form on the back end as well. From a pre-screening perspective, we also pre-screen for tax credits as well.
And Ed, I know you guys are helping out many clients, all over the U.S. And beyond. And I know that there's a lot of different payroll companies out there. I've been running payroll personally for, I want to say, over 10 years, and I've seen different systems, different service models. I'd like to hear from you. What makes your service model different than other payroll providers?
Yeah, so thanks for that, Evan. So our service model is really completely different than most of the other national providers. So after about 10 years in or around this industry, I really wanted to find a place where that kind of quenched my entrepreneurial thirst, if you will. And what we do here is our credo is actually entrepreneurs respectfully serving entrepreneurs. And the reason why that is we actually own the book of business that we bring on in terms of clients. So when we bring somebody on, we really want them to be a client for life because we're completely incentivized off of client retention, right? So that's one big difference in the service model. You'll still receive a one-on-one payroll specialist as well, but you also have me who you can reach out to at any time to help troubleshoot any issues or any questions that you may have. We also have a 3-year price lock, which is a pretty big differentiator as well. So you don't see the fluctuations in pricing that you may see with other competitors.
So Ed, you touched on the Workers' Opportunity Tax Credit. Do you want to tell our listeners a little bit about what that is and how they might apply for it or qualify for it?
Yeah, so the Workers' Opportunity Tax Credit is typically during normal times, the IRS statistic is 1 in every 5 new hires, it qualifies for this Workers' Opportunity Tax Credit. So during the pandemic, that actually has increased to about 1 in every 3 new hires. Now, there's different qualifications that allow you to take advantage of this tax credit, and that's living in a low-income area, being a former vet, an extended period of unemployment. And that unemployment piece is really why that statistic has risen so significantly during the pandemic. So what we do is we actually have the technology that allows for you to pre-screen your applicants for that particular tax credit. It'll show you on the dashboard who qualifies for those tax credits. And the tax credit ranges anywhere from $2,400 to $9,600 per new hire. And
wow,
it's real. It is. And it's frankly, it's grossly underutilized. And I think the reason behind that is business owners simply just don't know about it. And second, they don't have the technology that streamlines that process for them. So we do a really good job at, like I said, pre-screening, obtaining the credit, and then also providing the accountant at the end of the year with the documentation to apply to their business return. And that's a really good example as to how we partner with a lot of the professional services industries like accountants, insurance agencies, and financial advisors. Is we don't have an internal insurance agency. We don't have internal 401k. So we do a really good job with our open architecture APIs to be able to still bring the integrations in, but also partner with external professional service firms.
Well, I mean, for somebody who has run payroll for a while, I can personally say that not many payroll companies have even mentioned that. So I want to thank you for even bringing that up today. And I want to ask you, I know you guys help a lot of clients all over the U.S. Is there a particular client size that you really kind of do very well in, or specific industries that you do well in?
Yeah, so I would say on the human capital management side, so the payroll, HR, we can work with all size companies. Our niche is really that small to medium size, so 1 to say 200, 250 employee space. In terms of the payment processes side of the house, we have 1 employee all the way up to the enterprise level Fortune 100 companies as clients as well. But what I would say is we handle single employee S Corp companies all the way up to in that 200, 250 space. In terms of industries, we really don't focus on any industries. What I would say is we're bringing a lot of value to companies that are growing, right? Trades companies, restaurants. These, the industries that may have some more turnover because of the accessibility of these tax credits. Like I said, these tax credits are real, and it's really saving folks a lot of money. So we're bringing a unique technology to those particular industries.
So really interesting, Ed, because you touched on a number of things that, similar to Evan, having been involved in payroll for a lot of years, things that you're bringing up that probably aren't common practice for people to talk about. So can you provide our listeners with sort of what you might consider to be a best practice or a checklist when they're out talking to payroll companies, payroll providers of what types of services or what they might look for?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it really breaks down into 3 components, right? So the first one being their service model. the second being the technology, and the third being the pricing, right? So from a service model perspective, you know, does the senior product advisor or sales consultant have skin in the game, right? Are they going to be focused on keeping you as a client, right, and keeping you happy? So that's when you have a problem, when you're troubleshooting an issue, how is that handled, right? Are you reaching out to a single point of contact? Are you calling an 800 number? Things like that are critical questions to keep in mind. From a technology perspective, I would always ask for a live demonstration. So see the platform, be able to understand the ins and outs, particularly for your business, because every business is different. There are different intricacies, there are different technologies out there, and some companies do things better than others. So I would always ask for a demonstration of the technology. And lastly, the pricing model. So just make sure when you're going through the proposal, ask how long is this price going to last for? What are the increases, right? So are the increases every 6 months? Is it annually? What's the percentage? Things like that make a difference. So you don't have to constantly be monitoring your invoices. So those would be the main things that I would say to keep in mind.
Excellent. Well, our guest on Radio Entrepreneurs has been Ed Burnham, Senior Product Advisor with Heartland. Ed, if people want to get in touch with you and want to talk more about the services that you offer, what's the best way for them to reach you?
Yeah, so I would say do it via email. And sorry about that. I'm trying to put it on the screen for you guys as well, because it's kind of a long email address, but edward.burnham@e-hps.com. And the best number to reach me is 413-519-7693.
Excellent. Well, it's been great having you on, Ed. It's been interesting to learn more about Heartland and some best practices within the payroll industry that both Evan and I are learning today, it sounds like, as well. So really some great stuff, and I'm sure our listeners as well will appreciate the insight that you provide. I
really appreciate you having me on. Thank you both.
Great.
Absolutely. I also want to say too, this is an FEI segment. So, FEI is one of the premier networking, senior financial networking groups in Boston. We have a great group of both men and women. And if you are looking to get connected with other professionals like yourself, if you're in the senior finance field, you can check out FEI's website at feiboston.org, or feel free to reach out to me. And I'm also VP of Finance for Sapers and Wallack. Happy to talk to you on however we can help you out.
Excellent. Our guest on Radio Entrepreneurs again has been Ed Burnham of Heartland, and my co-host for the segment, Evan Macedo, Sapers and Wallack, and of course sponsored by the FEI network. So really appreciate all your time today, and we'll be right back with another story on Radio Entrepreneurs.